Hello and welcome to another Mordian Mondays. This is episode 78, and in this episode, guys, we're going to be taking a look at what I've been working on over the last week in terms of painting and other projects and whatnot. But we'll also be going to be doing a bit of a forward look for what's going to be coming over the next week and then in the future as well. So I quite like this new format for the Mordian Mondays, not just looking backwards but also looking forward, so hopefully we'll be keeping this format going forward. But let's start with the old painting, the Great Mordian Restoration Project, the whole reason why these episodes exist. So this week's been a really good one. Finally managed to finish off those 15 Riflemen that I've been working on for, God, feels like forever, probably a month. And it's actually really good that they're all done now. Interesting thing with these Riflemen is actually I slightly underestimated, slightly misjudged the amount of anvil industry heads that I needed, and so you'll actually notice that not many of them have the peaked caps. About half have the peaked caps because I really had to ration them out, basically. So what I ended up doing is actually going through my bits box and scrounging up loads of other heads that would work just fine. And a couple of my favourite ones are are from the Chimera kit. So in fact, yeah, definitely some of my two favourite designs in here in this batch are from the Chimera kit. So if you look at the guy that's on the front row on the right hand side, he's got a really cool helmet. It's from the Chimera kit, and it's the Cadian Tank Commander's helmet, and it's really cool. It's a much more slimmed down version of the classic Cadian helmet, and it's got an eyepiece and a single visor. It's really cool, and I actually have got a couple of guys with this helmet now, and I'm going to be using many more of them going forward, because they were really easy to use. And in fact, I've got one on what might be my new favourite infantry model, which is going to be a Voxcaster with that helmet on, and the posing, I've got it just right. So hopefully you'll be able to look forward to that model popping up over the next week or so. But also, one of my favourite models is the guy that's in the middle on the second row, which is the bandana guy. Now again, that's just a Catachan head from the Chimera kit, and it just looks really good. And it's interesting that I put all these helmets together and these heads together, these head swaps, and a lot of the ones I used were from the Chimera kit, which is a more modern guard kit. It's not modern, but it's more modern. And it made me think, oh yeah, wow, like, look at the difference between the old Cadian helmets and these ones. Like, these heads, like, Games Workshop has come a long way with their face design. And then Games Workshop went and dropped the new models, the new upgrade sprue for the Cadians, which we're touching on today, but we'll be doing a full video on. I think I plan to do that tomorrow, unless things change. It's going to be this week, with the plan being tomorrow. But yeah, just really cool. So I really enjoyed painting these models put together. An additional 15 Riflemen, and actually, with these chaps done, we are looking at that's basically all the Riflemen finished for 4th Platoon. I know, crazy. 4th Platoon has come together really quickly. So what I have left for 4th Platoon now is I have to do the sergeants. I've got 2 sergeants done already. I've got 4 more painted, built, ready to go. Not built, base coated, and I've started painting them. Just got the second layer of black and the skin colour to do on them. And then a couple of other Voxcaster Riflemen. And then the heavy bolters. The 6 heavy bolters that are going to be for that platoon. And then they're done. So actually, with these Riflemen being completed, we've kind of broken the back of 4th Platoon, and we're way over halfway. So even though it's taken a long time to put them together and all that, all that business, it's actually a big leap forward. It's a great leap forward. So yeah, just really enjoyed painting them. These unfortunately I had to. I've extended the date of the Mordian Restoration Project by doing these models, because all the models that I'm working on at the moment are ones that I bought recently. And you might be thinking, Morning Glory, why the hell have you bought more Guardsmen when you already have loads to do? It's like, I do have loads left. I do have about 100 or 150 left. But the problem is that they're the ones that are left are basically metal Mordians, which is great. Love metal Mordians, but the problem is that I don't want to take my metal Mordians to tournaments because they chip so easily. Even with being sealed and everything, they still chip. I sealed all my Armageddon Steel Legion, and those models have started to chip quite badly, and they've not been taken out of the case for a year. But over the year or so that I use them for tournaments and through the moving and all this, and you know, from the flat to the house, the models have chipped, and you know, a little bit. Every model's chipped very slightly, or in some cases not so slightly. So what that made me think is I don't want to do the Great Mordian Restoration project, and then after a year, all the hard work to be undone because all the metal Mordians are chipped to hell. Because if the Steel Legion are chipping, and I've only got 60 of them, and they most of the time stay in the Chimeras, then when I'm using a pure infantry army, I'm picking up models by the handful. I don't want to be chipping my models. So the reason I bought more infantry is because I wanted to make sure I had basically 2 armies of Mordians. One all plastic, and the other infantry all metal. And so when I'm playing battle reports, I can use the metal infantry. They're my home colours, and it'll be a really awesome thing to see in the battle reports, a pure infantry full metal Mordian army. I think that'll be quite the spectacle, quite the dick waving, if I'm going to be honest. And when I go to tournaments, it's like, okay, yeah, it's a bit of a shame that my tournament opponents aren't going to see my metal Mordian army, but they will see my fully converted plastic Caden army, which is pretty cool. And also, it'll mean that the models won't get chipped, because plastic models basically they don't chip as much, especially when you've put the Minotaurum or the Purity Seal varnish, whatever it is. You've done the spray varnish on them. So yeah, that's what we've been working on. That's why I bought some more models. It's a bit of a shame because this last month has basically not been a month of progress in many ways of the restoration project, and it's kind of been dipping my toe in the Great Mordian expansion project, which is coming after the restoration project when we flesh the army out properly. Because it's crazy. You don't realise, or I don't realise, there are quite a lot of gaps in my Mordians because there's a lot of infantry, but none of it's magnetised. So I need like 18 of each special weapon, basically. So there's a lot of gaps in the Mordian army. And then when you get to the vehicle side of things, it's actually really badly neglected. I don't have too many. I mean, I have plenty of Russes by normal standards, but by, you know, a full regiment of Mordian standards, I don't have many Lehman Russes. The ones, I think out of the 4 or 5 or 6 Russes that I have, out of the 6 Russes I have, I think 4 of them are the old school ones and only 2 of them are the more modern ones, because when I was building my Steel Legion, I ended up transferring a couple of Russes from one regiment to the other. So there's some gaps. You know, I've only got 1 Hydra, I've only got 1 Manticore, I've only got 2 Basilisks, I've got a random Griffin. You know, it's very, you know, I've got 5 or 6 Chimeras, but they're all total higgledy-piggledy, because a lot of my vehicles and a lot of my Mordians were from when I was up building it on a shoestring budget, so I just took whatever I could get. And now I'm very fortunate and very privileged to be in a position, you know, especially thanks to support from my Patreon supporters. Massive thank you to you guys. Where I'm able to actually put the money into the regiment that it deserves, and to build an army that is worthy of being an Imperial Guard army. So I'm very fortunate that I can do that now. But looking back, I was definitely, especially looking back at some of the early Mordian Glory battle reports stuff, yeah, I was definitely doing things in quite an amateurish way, and I just want to take this channel from strength to strength, and the way to do that, look, you can't half-ass an army. You know, how many times have we seen, or you know, this is to everyone, how many times have we all seen battle reports, even from some big names in the industry, when they're having to proxy things? Even nowadays, I mean, I don't really think it's okay to proxy, apart from for practice games, for tournament practice when you're trying to list out. I think that's absolutely fine, but not on battle reports. You shouldn't be. You know, it really, yeah. I mean, I would rather take, and this is not me preaching on my high horse, and I'm not calling anyone out or slagging anyone off or anything like that. Me personally, I will take a substandard weapon choice in a battle report than proxy something. And I would rather be criticised for using an inefficient list, but it's a fully painted and based list, than to be criticised for using a really, really efficient list, but for having proxies in it. Okay? That's just me personally. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comment section below. But anyway, I've gone off on one a little bit there. Sorry, guys, got a bit moany. But yeah, so that's what we've been working on. Now, in terms of looking forward, like I said, we're going to get the infantry squads, the sergeants, the Voxcast, the heavy bolters. Get those all done and start. Once they're done, we'll really be pushing forward back onto the restoration side of things. Got a full platoon of metal guardsmen in the Death Door bath, ready to rock and roll. So that's the hobbying, the modelling front of things. Now, I've been very fortunate this week. Again, I've been able to get some battles in with my Imperial Guard. And this week, a bit of the old guard and hammer and whatnot. And this week, I've been using my scions. And I've been trying out some London Lions. And I've been trying out the Capic Eagles. And I'm definitely going to be doing a full deep dive on this. I'm going to tease you with it now. This is the forward look now. Forward look for what's coming up the rest of this week. Sounds are good. Holy moly, by the Emperor. Scions are good. Okay? I'm going to do a deep dive on how it's all been going. But 1 week in, using Scions, I've taken on Admech. And I've taken on White Scars Space Marines. And I'm 3 wins, 3-0. 3 wins, 0 losses so far. So it's looking good. I think I'm really excited about this because I do push the pure infantry narrative a lot. And pure infantry is very much a powerful way to run your guard in 9th edition. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a hell of a lot of practice because there's so much going on. Even I make mistakes now, and I was surprised how rusty I was getting back into them. But pure infantry is great, but not for everyone. And if there's another avenue for guard players, which is much more cost effective, one of the best start collecting sets for bang for buck out there is your start collecting Militarum Tempestus. You basically get a Torx Prime for free in every single kit. That's insane. Basically. So if I can find a much more cost-effective way for guard players to hit the ground running and to be competitive, I'm going to look at that. I'm going to push that. And right now, Scions are looking very, very strong. But the thing is that Scions, the best way of looking at it, this is the last, and I'll go into the full detailed blow-by-blow after-action report later on this week. But the way of looking at it is, if Scions are like Dark Elder on hard mode, well, it's a bit like back when I was playing my Black Templars when Marines were broken. People were saying that Black Templars were one of the worst chapters. They're better now, obviously, with Blade Guard. But when end of 8th, when Marines were dominating, everyone's saying, oh, Black Templars, they're one of the worst chapters. The funny thing is, being one of the worst Space Marine chapters still means you're leagues ahead of everyone else. And it's kind of the same with Scions and Dark Elder. Being the worst, but the worst sort of bargain bucket knockoff of Dark Elder still means you're very, very good. And Scions are the Dark Elder on hard mode. Okay, but they're still like playing Dark Elder. Incredible firepower. And some very interesting ways of getting around their innate weakness, fragility. So we're going to be looking into that. Like I said, I've got a list. It's gone 3-0 so far. It doesn't look like much on paper, but it just seems... It seems like a perfectly balanced blade. It's like you could balance the rapier on your fingertip. That's what it's like. It's very interesting. I've had to completely reprogram my brain as a guard commander. Normally as a guard commander, if I can take 1 of something, I'll take 20 of something. With Scions, you have to take a little bit of everything. It's very, very different way of thinking. But I'm going to get into that more later in the week. But I just thought I'd tease you with it. I've had some great success with the Scions. Now, also coming this week, like I said, I'm going to be doing a full video on the head swaps. I've seen a headline for that, guys, is I am super excited for the head swaps. I think it's a very clever move by Games Workshop. I know some people were wishing for full kits, but I'm going to go and down why I think actually an upgrade sprue was the better way to go. I think new kits is always great, but I'm going to give you I'm going to stick my neck out, and I'm going to say why I think the upgrade sprue is the better way to go. Okay, and I'll do that later on this week. Yeah, apart from that, so that's this week. There'll be another couple of videos. I've not quite landed on exactly where I'm going to be falling, but you know, 3 out of the 5 videos that I'm going to be doing this week. I might split the after action report out from a main Scion deep dive, or I might combine them. So yeah, that's basically 3 or 4 of the videos covered, and I'll plan something out for the last couple of videos, 1 to 2 videos of the week. Now, that's the short-term forward look. Long-term forward look. I've mentioned this once or twice already, but I just want to touch on it again. In previous videos, I've actually mentioned it. The last 6 months has been difficult for the channel because it's basically been theory crafting. It's really good that things are opening back up. From just so people are aware, in the UK, from the 17th of this month, I will be able to have people in the battle bunker filming legitimately. Okay, and that's going to be great because it's really going to push the Mordian Glory channel in this new direction, which is we're going to be trying to do. I'm going to try and do more battle reports. Okay, we've had lots of tactics, we've had lots of theory hammer over the last 6 months, but it's nothing. There's nothing like just quite getting games in, recording games, releasing games. It's going to be really, really good. Now, I'm very fortunate that I've been able to build up quite a good network of people to have on the channel. So there could be loads of variety of armies and stuff that are going to be coming in. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Loads of different people that will be able to play. Loads of personalities. So it won't just be me. There'll be loads of people hopefully that are going to be getting guests that will be able to appear on the channel. So we're going to be doing lots of battle reports, and the plan is for every battle report that I do, I want to do an after-action report, which means there will be, essentially, hopefully we'll be able to get to a battle report in every week, but that's ambitious, because I have to work around everyone else's schedule, and real life sometimes gets in the way. So the current plan would be to make sure there's a battle report every 2 weeks, which would be really, really good. And also, people don't want to necessarily come over and do battle reports, right? Sometimes you just want to hang out with your mates, and sometimes they don't want to, oh, he only wants me to come over to do battle reports with them. I don't want that to be the perception that I give my friends. They're my friends at the end of the day. So the plan is to have people over, but, try and do a battle report, once every 2 weeks, and also do an after-action report more than that, because the plan is to be playing several games of Warhammer a week going forward. I imagine it's going to be an initial rush when everyone wants to be playing again, because we've all been basically not been able to play very easily. So there's going to be lots of after-action battle reports. But the way I'm thinking of running it is essentially having a battle report, and then every week having almost like a news from the front lines. And in that series, the new series, the ongoing series, it'll be every week a roundup of the battles that I've played, the army lists that I've played, the wins, the losses, the draws, the highs and the lows, and the lessons learned from this week's Warhammer, what hasn't worked and what has worked. So I think that's going to be really, really good. So that's going to be a regular thing coming out. So we're going to have the Mordian Mondays as a regular, and we're going to have the news from the front line as a regular thing as well, and then hopefully we might have a battle report every week, but at the very least we should have a battle report every couple of weeks, which should be really, really good. Now the other thing to say that I'm going to start to be bringing back in a big regular way is tournaments. Okay, I'm going to be going through, so between now and the end of the year, I believe I have 5, maybe 6 events that I'm signed up for and ready to rock and roll. Most of those are 2-day events. Some of them will be I think one of them is a 1-day event, which is next month. So that's really, really good. So I'm going to try and go to an event every month, if possible, every 2 months, if with life getting in the way and whatnot. But keeping my finger on the competitive meta, keeping my finger on the pulse of the meta. So that's, and obviously we will be doing, tournament roundups. What happened? And what did well, what didn't do well, and just lots of pictures and all that kind of stuff. So the Mordian Glory channel is very much going to move away from this theory crafting. We're going to keep a little bit of the theory crafting and very much move into the real life first-hand experience that I always used to do, but it's going to take that's very much going to be the focus going forward. So the plan will be, have a Mordian Mondays, news from the front lines, tactics, and then a classic Mordian Glory tactics video, and then hopefully a battle report, and then one slot will be a bit of a free-for-all, do what I want with. So there'll be 1 to 2 slots a week that will be a bit of a free-for-all. But that is kind of the plan. that's the schedule. That's what we're going to be doing looking forward. So it should be really, really good. And I think and I'm hoping it's always going to be focused on the guard. But I hope you guys have noticed that I've been branching out a little bit from guard stuff, but doing it from a guard perspective. So if for example, when Dark Elder comes out or when other new factions come out, looking at this from, okay, let's cover the new faction, let's have a look at them, let's maybe even try them out, like proxy things, get a feel for them, or play against them, get a feel for how they play against the guard. So I'll be covering other factions, but very much doing it right. This is the new faction, this is what you need to be aware of if you're going to collect them or if you're going to face them. And as a guard player or as a guard community, this is what we need to be aware of when you're fighting them. And like, they're really, really good at killing guard, or guard are really good at killing them. So that's kind of that's the forward look in terms of going forward. Forward look in terms of long-term thinking. And the plan is to basically take the channel from just being me talking shit behind a microphone, which I know some of you love, so I'm going to keep an element of that. But it's also going to be very much doing it properly, doing it professionally. We've got 10k subs now. I feel like that's a bit of a responsibility, and I've got to do that. I've got to do it properly. No more amateur shit, basically. Apart from Mordian Mondays, which will always be amateur. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.